When humanity's flagship entered the war zone, silence fell across the stars. The war had already lasted longer than most species could remember. It did not begin with hatred or pride, it began with fear. One border clash became 2, then 10, then entire star systems were pulled into fire. Trade routes burned. Planets went silent. Refugee fleets drifted between stars with no safe place left to go. No side could claim victory. Every alliance lost ships faster than they could build them. Every commander believed they were one battle away from collapse. The galaxy had reached a point where survival mattered more than honor. In the outer war zone, a mixed command fleet held a fragile line near a shattered system. The main star had been cracked years ago by a failed weapon test, leaving only debris and cold light. It was a bad place to fight, but no one had a better option. Admiral Tarek of the Vorn sat in his command cradle, his 4 eyes fixed on the tactical display. Red markers filled the space ahead. Blue markers, fewer and weaker, flickered as shields failed and engines overheated. Another destroyer was gone. The marker vanished without sound. Tarek felt the weight of it press against his chest. He had lost count of how many ships died under his command. He no longer remembered all their names. "Status?" he asked quietly. An officer answered with a tired voice. "Weapons at 40%. Shields unstable. We cannot hold another full assault." Across the command deck, human officers stood among alien allies. Humans were still new to this war. They had arrived late, pulled in after trade stations near their space were destroyed. Many species believed humans would break quickly. They were small, soft, and spoke too calmly for warriors. Commander John Carter stood near a side console, arms relaxed, eyes sharp. He watched the same display as everyone else, but his face showed no panic. Beside him, Lisa Brown worked silently, adjusting sensor filters and data streams. Her fingers moved fast, but her breathing stayed slow. Eric Morgan leaned against a railing, listening to half a dozen open channels. His expression was serious, but not afraid. Humans had learned fear long ago. This was something else. "Another push is coming," Lisa said. Her voice was calm and clear. "Long-range sensors show enemy fleets regrouping behind the debris field." Tarek let out a low breath. "Then this is where we end." John turned to him. "Not yet." The Admiral tilted his head. "Your optimism is misplaced, Commander." John shook his head slightly. "This is not optimism. This is timing." Before Tarek could reply, a junior officer spoke up, confusion clear in his tone. "Unknown signal detected. Far range." The room grew quieter. Unknown signals were rare now. Everything in the war zone was tracked, cataloged, hunted. "Source?" Tarek asked. "Deep space," the officer said. "Outside known lane, speed is..." "Wrong." Lisa looked up sharply. She pulled the data onto her screen. Numbers scrolled faster than normal. "That's speed," she said. "That is not possible with standard drives." Eric straightened. "How wrong?" Lisa paused. "If the reading is correct, whatever this is crossed 3 sectors in the time it takes light to blink." Silence spread across the deck. Even the hum of machinery felt louder. Tarek stared at the display. A single marker appeared, distant but closing fast. No escort. No weapon flare. No broadcast. "A scout?" one officer suggested. "No," Lisa said. "Too large." John stepped closer to the main display. "Any energy signature?" "Massive," she replied. "But stable. No weapon charge. No shield flare. It is quiet." That was what unsettled everyone. In a war where ships screamed across sensors with heat and noise, this thing moved like a shadow. The alien fleets noticed it too. Across the battlefield, hostile ships began to shift formation. Weapons that were aimed at the defensive line slowly turned outward. Long-range scans reached and failed. Targeting systems could not lock. Admiral Tarek watched the feeds from enemy channels. Confusion replaced aggression. Orders overlapped. Some ships pulled back. Others advanced without coordination. "What have you brought here, human?" Tarek asked softly. John did not smile. Not something we brought, he said.
Something we waited to use.
The marker grew larger. At first it looked like an error, a distortion in space. Then the shape sharpened. Long, wide, balanced. Too smooth for alien design. No markings showed. No flashing signals. Just a vast structure moving through broken starlight like it owned the void. One by one, weapons fire stopped. Missiles that were already in flight lost guidance and drifted uselessly. Beam weapons powered down as targeting failed. Fighters slowed and hovered, pilots unsure what to do. The war zone fell into an uneasy stillness. Lisa opened a secure channel. "External scans are being overridden," she said. "Not jammed. Overridden. Something is rewriting the rules locally." Eric let out a slow breath. "They are going to panic." John nodded. "Let them." The unknown ship entered visual range. Even alien commanders who relied on non-visual senses focused on it. It was larger than any single vessel present, larger than some stations. Yet it moved with calm precision, never adjusting course, never accelerating or slowing. No weapons ports opened. No shields flared. It simply arrived. Across dozens of fleets, leaders froze. Some tried to issue attack orders, but their systems refused. Others attempted to flee, but engines stalled or redirected power elsewhere. Admiral Tarek felt something he had not felt in years. Relief. The ship passed between opposing lines without acknowledgement. It positioned itself at the heart of the battlefield, where the star debris glowed faintly. Then, at last, it spoke. Not with sound, but with data. A simple signal pushed across every channel, every language, every command frequency at once. "We are here." That was all. No threats, no demands, just presence. In the human section of the command deck, no one moved. Lisa rested her hands on the console, steadying herself. "Signal origin confirmed," she said. "It is human." Tarek turned slowly, all four of his eyes fixed on John. "You told us humans had no capital ships." John met his gaze. "We said we had not deployed them." The Admiral swallowed. "Why now?" John looked back at the silent battlefield. Because this war reached the point where words stopped working. The enemy fleets did not fire. They did not advance. They waited. The unknown ship remained still, as if time itself paused around it. For the first time since the war began, no one died for several long minutes. In distant systems, watchers would later say that was the moment the galaxy changed. Not when the first shot was fired, but when every gun fell quiet at once. And at the center of that impossible silence, humanity had finally arrived. The human flagship stayed at the center of the war zone, silent but immense. Its dark hull reflected the broken light of shattered stars, but it carried no markings, no symbols, no sign of aggression. Alien commanders watched it, some trembling, some in disbelief. None had ever seen anything like it. Inside the flagship, Captain John Carter walked along a wide corridor, his boots making almost no sound. The walls glowed faintly with soft white lights. The ship was quiet, but it was alive. Systems hummed, sensors scanned every sector, and crew members moved efficiently. Never rushing, never panicking. Lisa Brown entered the control room, her tablet glowing with incoming data. "We are in position," she said. "All fleets are frozen, as predicted." John nodded, his eyes calm. "Keep scanning. We need to know if they are trying to communicate or attack secretly." "They are not," Lisa said. "Their systems are overridden. We have complete control over the immediate battle zone." Eric Morgan stepped forward, leaning against the console. "It's almost too easy. Do you think they'll accept our presence?" John looked at him. "They don't have a choice. This is not an invasion. It is a warning. If they continue fighting, consequences will follow." Outside the ship, alien fleets could not move. Weapons systems were disabled, engines locked, and communications jammed by the quiet authority of the human flagship. Some ships attempted emergency maneuvers, but the ship's sensors anticipated every move, adjusting interference to neutralize threats without damage.
Admiral Tarek of the Voron watched helplessly from his command station.
His fingers hovered over the controls, but he could do nothing. Every order he tried to issue failed. The humans were not attacking, but they controlled everything. A sense of helplessness spread across the alien lines like wildfire. "Their ship is unreal," an alien officer whispered to a colleague. They move without haste, yet nothing can escape them. In the flagship's control room, John studied a 3-day display of the battlefield. Ships froze mid-motion, some firing missiles that drifted harmlessly in space. Debris fields that once hid small fighters were now illuminated by the human ship's sensors, revealing hidden positions.
"We could destroy them all in minutes," Eric said quietly.
John shook his head. "We are not here to destroy. You are not here to destroy that. We are here to stop the war." Lisa tapped her screen. "They are trying to respond. Some signals are getting through, but heavily corrupted. It seems like they are attempting messages, but they are lost before they reach each other." John studied the signals. Alien languages flickered across the monitors, garbled and confusing. He recognized the patterns. They are panicking. Fear is clouding logic. As the humans maintained their silent presence, alien commanders began to send delegations. Small ships, unarmed, approached the flagship. They wanted to communicate, but they dared not fire. Each alien species had different reactions. Some sent single representatives. Others sent entire small fleets of envoys. None of them were armed. John met them at the docking bay, walking calmly among them. Lisa and Eric accompanied him. The alien envoys stared at the humans with wide eyes. Some expected weapons to fire. Some expected the ship to collapse under its own weight. Nothing happened. "I am Captain John Carter," John said, his voice steady. "We are here to end this war. No more blood needs to be spilled." A tall alien with green skin and 4 arms stepped forward. "Why should we trust you?" it asked, voice crackling through the translator. "Humans are late to the stars. You are weak." John studied the alien. "We are late, yes, but we have learned quickly. Weakness is not what you see with your eyes. It is what you fail to understand." The alien hissed softly. "We will see if your words are worth anything." Another alien, smaller and covered in silver scales, shifted nervously. "Your ship. It stops everything." "How?" Lisa spoke calmly. "We have technology that can control systems within a certain range. We do not need to fight to enforce peace." The aliens whispered among themselves. Panic mixed with curiosity. Many were afraid, but all recognized power when they saw it. John led them to the observation deck. The viewport showed the war zone frozen in place. Fighters hung in space, missiles drifted uselessly, and ships were locked in their positions. Silence stretched across the battlefield like a heavy cloak. "All of this," John said, gesturing to the war zone, "could be destroyed in moments. But we do not want destruction. We want an end to this war." One alien stepped forward, voice trembling. "What makes you different from others who have tried to stop us?" John looked out at the frozen stars. "We learned from our mistakes. Humanity survived wars on our home world that destroyed entire continents. We learned restraint only after mastering destruction. Now we bring that lesson to the galaxy." Eric spoke quietly. "Some will not believe. They will test us." John nodded. "Let them test. They will see the same thing we have already shown. We are not here to conquer. We are here to stop this senseless killing." Back in the flagship, engineers monitored all interference fields. Systems checked repeatedly, ensuring no accidental harm came to alien ships. Every action was deliberate, precise, careful. The humans did not need weapons to command respect. Their presence was enough. The alien envoys returned to their fleets to relay what they had seen. Ships moved slowly, cautiously, afraid to disobey but compelled by curiosity. Messages spread through the war zone. Humans are here, and they are not attacking. Admiral Tarek watched the fleets in confusion. Orders meant to counter humans failed. Fleets were stuck. Some attempted to retreat, others to regroup. None could act freely. Fear and respect began to replace anger. One alien fleet commander spoke in a low voice. "We are surrounded, yet untouched." "What is this power?" a second voice replied. "It is not attack. It is control without violence. We are powerless to resist." In the flagship, John spoke to Lisa and Eric. "We give them a choice: peace or continued war. They will see the consequences if they do not choose wisely."
Oh.
Lisa nodded. "We can maintain the override indefinitely, but they need to understand we are not a threat to their lives, only to their continued fighting." Eric added, "They have never seen anything like this. This will change how they think." The frozen war zone began to feel like a single organism. Ships that once fired on each other now drifted in perfect alignment, like puzzle pieces held in place by an invisible hand. Humans walked among the consequences of their presence, calm and unhurried. Over the next hours, envoys returned with questions. Some asked about the humans' technology. Some asked about their history. John answered carefully, never revealing more than needed. Lisa translated technical data into terms that alien minds could understand. Eric coordinated logistics, ensuring communication between species remained steady, calm, and clear. One alien, a young officer from a minor fleet, approached John quietly. "Why do you not strike?" it asked. "You could destroy us all." John smiled faintly. "We could, but destruction does not create peace. It only creates more hatred. We have learned that on our homeworld. We bring that lesson to the galaxy." The aliens seemed to understand, but fear remained. "You are not like the humans I imagined. Perhaps," John said, "or perhaps you have only now seen the humans that matter." As the day passed, more ships arrived, drawn by reports of the human flagship, curious, cautious, fearful. Fleets that had never met before now watched each other in tense silence. The humans remained at the center, calm, unarmed in appearance, yet carrying the authority of the galaxy itself. John watched the stars from the observation deck. "This is only the beginning," he said. "They need to understand the cost of war before they can accept peace." Lisa joined him. "They are listening. Even their leaders are beginning to think differently." Eric added, "And every second they hesitate, they learn. Fear can be a teacher, too."
John nodded. "Good. We do not rush."
Patience is stronger than violence. Outside, the frozen fleets of the galaxy waited. The humans did not demand obedience, but their presence demanded respect. The war zone, once full of chaos and death, was now silent. Still, waiting. In that silence, the galaxy began to feel small. The humans had arrived not as conquerors, but as arbiters. Not with guns, but with control. Not with destruction, but with quiet authority. And the first whispers began to spread across the stars. The humans had come, and the war that had seemed endless might finally end. For the first time, species who had fought for centuries looked at each other not with hate, but with fear and wonder. And in the middle of it all, the human flagship floated like a shadow of inevitability, calm, deliberate, and unbroken. The aliens began to understand that this was not the war they had known. This was something new. And humanity was at its center. The human flagship remained at the center of the war zone. The fleets that once attacked each other now floated in tense silence. No one dared move. No one dared fire. The aliens had never experienced anything like it. Fear mixed with awe, and the quiet became heavier than any weapon. Inside the flagship, Captain John Carter walked the control room. Sensors showed every fleet frozen in space, engines locked, weapons offline. The ships were powerless to act, yet unharmed. Humans could have destroyed them all in minutes. But John knew that destruction would not solve anything. Peace required more than force. It required understanding. Lisa Brown monitored communications, translating alien chatter. They are trying to negotiate, she said. But fear is clouding their logic. Every attempt to speak is garbled or delayed.
Eric Morgan leaned against a console.
Some of their leaders are panicking. They think we are preparing an attack. Others think we are a weapon sent to punish them. John nodded. Let them think. They will see the truth soon enough. Outside, alien ships attempted to move. A small fighter fired a pulse weapon, and it sputtered uselessly in mid-space. The missile drifted harmlessly, failing to hit anything. The pilot froze, unsure what to do next. Admiral Tarek of Bevorn watched helplessly from his command station. This cannot be happening, he muttered. Our weapons, our fleets, nothing works. One of his officers spoke, voice trembling. They are not attacking. Yet we are stopped. What power do they have? Control, Tarek said quietly. Not attack. Control without destruction. They are teaching us a lesson we cannot resist. Inside the flagship, John activated a comm broadcast channel across all alien frequencies. His voice was clear, translated automatically into every known language. We are here to end this war, he said. No fleet will be harmed. No species will be attacked. The war has gone too far. Every life lost could have been saved. This ends now. Messages spread instantly. Alien commanders repeated his words, checking each other for traps. But the humans did not change. The words were calm. The tone was measured. There was no anger. There was authority. A tall alien from the core species floated near a docking bay, watching.
They speak as if they are gods, it whispered to a nearby officer.
Yet they have no weapons fired, no destruction made. How? They are different, the officer replied. We cannot measure their power in our terms. They do not fight as we fight. Small delegations of alien envoys approached the human flagship, curious but cautious. They docked their ships slowly, unarmed. John and Lisa met them in the main chamber. We are not here to conquer, John said. We are here to stop the fighting. This war benefits no one. It only destroys. An alien with purple skin and two glowing eyes asked, Why should we believe you? Humans arrived late. You are weak, yet we cannot resist you. John looked at the alien calmly. We are not weak.
We are experienced. We survived worse wars on our homeworld.
We learned restraint only after mastering destruction. We bring that lesson to the galaxy. Some envoys whispered to each other. They had never heard humans speak like this. They expected threats, or arrogance, or fear. They did not expect authority without violence. Lisa projected a hologram of the war zone. Look at what has happened, she said. Every fleet is frozen, not destroyed. Not disabled by violence, but by control. This is what happens when you stop fighting and listen. The envoy shivered. Their ships had been powerless. Their weapons had failed. They realized humans did not need to destroy to command respect. John walked to the observation deck. Through the viewport he saw the war zone suspended in time. Missiles drifted uselessly. Debris fields held fighters frozen mid-flight. Entire battleships hung like statues. The sight was terrifying, yet beautiful in its strange calm. They do not understand yet, John said quietly. They will learn soon, Eric added. Some are already talking about surrender. Some are saying their leaders must listen to the humans. Lisa nodded. Fear can teach faster than logic, but it must be tempered with words. We will show them the cost of continued fighting. Across the galaxy, fleets began to communicate. Previous enemies sent small ships to observe each other, waiting to see what the humans would do. No one fired. Some fleets hesitated for hours, unsure if they were trapped or protected. John sent another broadcast. Any further aggression will not succeed. Your fleets will remain frozen. Lives can still be saved. The war can end now if you choose. The core alien, still in the docking bay, watched the hologram. We have never seen such power, it said. Yet they do not strike. They only show what can happen if we continue. One smaller species, the Lyrans, sent a single scout ship to dock with the flagship. The pilot trembled as it entered the airlock. Inside, John greeted the alien with calm authority. "We do not wish to harm anyone," John said. "We are here to end death, not cause it." The Lyran shivered. "We thought humans were weak. We thought your fleets were small. Yet you can stop us without firing a single shot. Why?" John smiled faintly. "Because force alone creates more force. Destruction alone creates more destruction. Peace requires control and understanding. We can show you the way." Outside, alien fleets slowly began to move under human guidance. Ships were still cautious, engines humming lightly, weapons offline. They tested the boundaries of the human control, but each action was anticipated and restrained without harm. Admiral Tarek spoke quietly to his council. "We are learning, not by threat, not by violence, but by example. Humans show us restraint greater than our armies, greater than our weapons. They stopped the war without killing anyone." One of his officers shook its head. "But what if they are lying? What if this is a trick?" "Then we will see," Tarek said. "But until then we must follow. We cannot act against them." Back in the flagship, John watched as the first signs of compliance appeared. Fleets that had fought for centuries now hesitated before firing. Commanders discussed peace, not battle plans. Alliances began to form in unexpected ways. "This is only the beginning," John said to Lisa and Eric. "We are not enforcing peace. We are showing the cost of war. They will learn, slowly or quickly, that fighting no longer works."
Eric nodded, and every second they hesitate, they see what power humans really have.
"We do not need to fight to win," Lisa added. "We will need patience. Some species are stubborn, some will test us. But eventually, they will understand." John looked out at the frozen fleets again. "Fear is a teacher, but it must be combined with reason. If they learn too quickly, they may rebel later. If they learn too slowly, they may destroy themselves. We must guide them carefully." Over the next few hours, human officers coordinated the alien fleets. Ships moved slowly, cautiously, but under control. Weapons remained offline. No one was harmed. The humans did not need to threaten, yet every alien commander knew the humans could strike at any moment. In quiet conversations, alien leaders began to ask questions about human history, human wars, human mistakes. John answered carefully, never revealing too much, but enough to show that humans were different from what they imagined. "Your history is violent," a Corps commander said. "Yet you speak as if you understand peace." "We survived violence," John said. "We learned from it. You can do the same. You can end this war without further bloodshed." Outside, the war zone remained frozen, yet the sense of tension began to change. Fear became respect. Hesitation became curiosity. Anger became reflection. For the first time, the galaxy paused to consider what it had become. John, Lisa, and Eric walked through the flagship quietly. The crew moved efficiently, calmly, and without pride. The humans did not celebrate. They did not gloat. Their authority came from their discipline and patience. In distant systems, stories of the human flagship spread. Fleets sent scouts to observe. Species that had never met humans now spoke of them with caution, respect, and disbelief. And at the center of it all, the humans waited. Not for victory, not for glory, but for understanding. The war could end if the aliens were willing to learn, John said quietly. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to teach restraint, and to show that strength does not come from destruction." Lisa nodded. "Every moment they hesitate, they see it for themselves." Eric smiled faintly. "And soon they will realize that humans are not just another species to fear. We are a force that changes the rules." Outside, the frozen fleets began to shift slightly, cautiously, testing the limits of the human control. Yet nothing broke. Nothing was harmed. The humans remained calm, patient, and deliberate. In the midst of frozen stars and silent weapons, the galaxy slowly began to understand that this war was over before it could continue. The humans had arrived not to fight, but to teach, and the lesson was clear. Destruction is not power. Control without violence is. For the first time in centuries, the war zone was quiet, yet alive with possibility. The humans had made the first move, not with guns, but with patience and authority. And every species in the galaxy, no matter how proud or powerful, felt the weight of it. Silence had become the greatest weapon, and humanity wielded it perfectly. The frozen war zone had begun to stir, but only slightly. Fleets that once fired at each other now drifted cautiously, engines humming softly, weapons offline. Alien commanders communicated quietly, unsure what to do next. The human flagship remained at the center, calm and silent, like a shadow that watched everything without moving. Inside the flagship, Captain John Carter walked the main deck with Lisa Brown and Eric Morgan. John's eyes scanned the displays showing every fleet, every ship, every weak point. He did not see enemies. He saw a lesson waiting to be learned. "They are beginning to speak to each other," Lisa said. "Former enemies are contacting allies, trying to understand what is happening." Eric leaned over the console. "Some of their leaders want to surrender, but pride is stopping them. They are afraid to show weakness." John nodded. "Then we show them consequences. Not violence, but clarity. They must understand what continued war costs." He activated the broadcast channel again. His voice, calm and steady, carried across every frequency in the war zone, reaching ships that were still locked in place. "This war has gone too far," he said. "Too many lives have been lost. Every system, every planet, every fleet suffers. We can stop it now without further bloodshed. But if fighting continues, the cost will be greater than you can imagine."
A murmur ran through alien communications. Some fleets hesitated.
Others whispered among themselves, unsure if humans were bluffing. They had seen power, yes, but destruction had not yet occurred. Could humans truly enforce peace without firing a weapon? John continued. "We do not wish to destroy you. We do not wish to conquer. But we have the ability to end this war instantly if necessary. Do not mistake our patience for weakness." A tall alien commander, covered in silver scales and 4 glowing eyes, stepped forward in its small, unarmed ship. It was the first to approach openly. "What do you mean by ending the war instantly?" it asked. Its translator converted the words into tones humans could understand. John looked at the alien calmly. "We can disable fleets, systems, and weapons permanently. We can hold entire fleets in place. We can stop your technology from functioning. The choice is yours. End this war peacefully, or face consequences that will affect everyone for generations." The alien shivered, unsure whether to recoil or believe. "You do not fight, yet you can destroy us completely?" "We have learned restraint," John said. "You have not. We can demonstrate, but we will not harm anyone unless you force us. The lesson must be learned without unnecessary death." Lisa projected a 3-day hologram showing frozen fleets in the battle zone. Ships drifted, weapons idle, engines locked. "This is the cost of continued fighting," she said. "Nothing is destroyed yet, but the power exists. We hold the authority. We can show consequences without killing. Now it is your choice." Some alien commanders began to whisper to each other, fear clear in their voices. Pride and hatred still lingered, but they could not ignore the humans. The demonstration was too complete, too undeniable. John continued to speak to every fleet. "If you resume fighting, we will act to stop you immediately. No fleet will survive hostile action without restriction. Think carefully. Your worlds, your people, your future, all depend on your choice now." Across the war zone, envoys returned to their fleets, telling the story of the human ship and its calm authority. Commanders who once bragged about power now hesitated. Pride fought with fear, but fear was winning. The silver-scaled alien stepped aside, sending a message to its fleet. Slowly, it broadcast a call for a ceasefire. Hesitation rippled across the war zone. Other fleets followed cautiously, some testing movement, others watching. Every action was calculated, measured. No one wanted to make a mistake. John turned to Lisa and Eric. We must remain firm. Patience is essential, but we cannot allow false hope. They need to see the cost of war clearly. Lisa nodded. Their fear is real. It will guide them if we use it wisely. Eric added, and our calm presence shows them restraint. This is more powerful than any weapon we could fire. Outside the flagship, alien fleet slowly adjusted their positions. Ships that had once been locked in place moved gently, testing boundaries. Small fighters drifted forward, scanning humans' control range. Larger battleships inched closer, careful not to provoke any reaction. In the observation deck, John watched quietly. "They are beginning to understand," he said. "Their leaders are talking, negotiating. They see that continued war brings nothing but suffering." Lisa projected maps of supply lines, trade routes, and destroyed systems. "Look at the damage they have caused themselves," she said. "Systems are destroyed. Resources are gone. Populations suffer. If they continue, all will be lost." Eric studied the hologram, and now they see someone who can enforce restraint. They cannot ignore it. Even their strongest leaders are forced to think differently. John sent another message across the battle zone. We offer peace, a chance to rebuild, a chance to end centuries of conflict. All fleets will return to their home systems without harm. Continued war will not succeed. Choose wisely. The tall alien commander from before sent another message. We will consider your words. We will discuss with allies. This is unprecedented. Good, John said. Discussion is the first step. Listen carefully. Learn from each other. Understand that war is not the only path. Lisa added, and remember, every action you take will have consequences. We can stop any fleet, anywhere, at any moment. It is your choice whether to continue fighting or accept peace. Some fleets began to move toward each other, slowly lowering weapons, signaling for negotiation. Small shuttles carried envoys to neutral locations. Former enemies met cautiously, unsure if the humans were bluffing, but unable to resist their authority. John, Lisa, and Eric monitored every movement. "We will guide them," John said, "not with force but with demonstration. They must see the power without using it. They must understand the cost." Outside, the war zone was quiet, but alive with tension. Fleets hovered, engines hummed, and communications buzzed softly. Alien leaders argued among themselves, debating whether to follow the humans' guidance or continue fighting. Pride fought with reason, fear fought with hope, and patience fought with impatience. Lisa projected another hologram, showing destroyed planets, ruined moons, and abandoned systems. "This is what war leaves behind," she said. "This is why it must end. Even the strongest fleets cannot restore what has been lost. Only cooperation can save the galaxy now." The tall, silver-scaled alien commander approached John again. "Your presence, your calm, it is unlike anything we have known. What do you ask of us?" John looked at the alien steadily. "We ask you to stop, to talk, to negotiate, to listen. We ask you to understand that strength is not destruction. Power is not measured by weapons. The galaxy survives only if you choose peace." The alien hesitated, then nodded slowly. "We, will try." Eric smiled faintly. "Small steps." "That is all we need." Lisa added, "Every fleet that moves toward peace strengthens the message. Every life saved reinforces it. Soon the war will end because they will see it as their only choice." John activated a final broadcast for the day. "We leave you with this thought. Continue fighting and the cost will be beyond your imagining. Choose peace and life will continue. The decision is yours. The humans will wait calmly and guide you if you choose wisely." Across the war zone, alien commanders began to communicate more openly. Fleets lowered weapons. Envoys traveled to meet former enemies, and discussions began in earnest. The power of the humans was clear. They did not need to fight to control the battlefield. Their authority was not in destruction, but in restraint and understanding. In the flagship, John, Lisa, and Eric walked quietly among their crew. No one celebrated. No one cheered. The humans did not gloat. Their work was not done. They had guided the first step. Now the galaxy had to learn the rest. John said quietly, "Patience will finish this work. Force alone cannot end a war, but patience, presence, and authority can." Lisa nodded. "They are beginning to see it. Their pride is still strong, but fear and respect are stronger." Eric added, "And every time they hesitate, they remember who holds the power. We show them restraint, and that teaches them more than weapons ever could." Outside, the war zone slowly began to feel different. Former enemies met cautiously. Fleets that had once fought each other now drifted side by side, engines synchronized, weapons offline. The first steps toward peace were taking shape. The humans remained at the center, calm, deliberate, and patient. The message was clear. War could continue only at a cost they could not survive. Restraint and guidance could save countless lives. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy began to understand that strength was not measured by destruction. Power was measured by control, patience, and wisdom. Humanity had arrived, not to destroy, but to teach. Silence, once a weapon of fear, had become a tool of understanding. And humanity wielded it perfectly. The war zone had changed, and what once had been chaos and fire was now quiet but not empty. Alien fleets drifted carefully, engines humming softly, weapons offline. Commanders spoke with each other, negotiating carefully, testing trust. The humans remained at the center, calm, patient, and unthreatening, yet their presence carried undeniable authority. Inside the flagship, Captain John Carter walked the main corridor with Lisa Brown and Eric Morgan. Screens displayed every fleet, every ship, every message. The humans did not rush. They did not celebrate. They simply watched, guiding the first steps toward peace. "They are beginning to trust each other," Lisa said. "Former enemies are talking, sharing information. They are still cautious, but they are listening." Eric leaned over a console. "Some fleets are moving closer to allies. They are testing cooperation. This is the first real sign of progress in centuries." John nodded. "Trust is slow. It cannot be forced. It must be earned. Our job is to show them that peace is possible and that continued war is pointless." Outside, alien ships hovered near each other, engines quiet. Small shuttles traveled between fleets, carrying envoys to meet leaders. Communication lines once blocked by anger and suspicion were now open. Alien commanders whispered, debated, and listened. The war that had lasted decades was beginning to fade in minutes. A tall alien commander, covered in silver scales and four glowing eyes, approached the flagship in an unarmed shuttle. It docked carefully, sending envoys inside. John greeted them calmly. "Your fleets are beginning to cooperate," he said. "The war can end now if you choose it. We do not demand obedience. We only ask that you see reason and protect life." The alien bowed slightly. "Your presence has shown us what we could not see ourselves. Your calm, your restraint, it is unlike anything in our history. We will work toward peace." "Good," John said. "Small steps are enough. Guide your fleets, communicate, and remember that continued conflict brings only loss." Lisa projected a map of the war zone, showing the movements of fleets. Red markers faded as fleets lowered weapons and traveled toward neutral zones. Blue markers indicated fleets that were joining negotiations. Slowly, the battlefield transformed from a zone of death into a zone of dialogue.
"They are beginning to trust each other," Lisa said.
"They are testing coordination. They are learning to cooperate," Eric added, "and every step they take reinforces the lesson. They see that humans do not need to fight to enforce authority. Restraint is more powerful than destruction." John nodded. "And soon they will understand that their choices determine the future of entire systems. They can rebuild what has been destroyed, or they can continue to destroy each other. The decision is theirs."
Pow.
Over the next hours, the humans continued to guide the fleets. They monitored movements, provided advice, and ensured no accident or misstep escalated conflict. Alien leaders began to respect the guidance without fear of threat. They saw that humans could act at any moment but chose patience instead. In a small shuttle, envoys from 3 former enemy fleets met for the first time in decades. They shook tentacles, limbs, and hands uncertainly. Dialogue began, careful and cautious. Mistrust was still present, but curiosity and hope were stronger. They realized that continued war would destroy everything they held dear. Back in the flagship, John spoke to Lisa and Eric quietly. "We have shown them the power of restraint. Now we must ensure they understand cooperation. Destruction alone teaches nothing. Guidance teaches everything." Lisa nodded. "They are learning quickly. The lesson will spread faster than we expect." Eric added, "And every life we save reinforces it. They will remember that humans came not to destroy, but to teach." Outside, alien fleets moved carefully toward each other. Weapons remained offline. Energy pulses for defense were limited to non-lethal functions. Engines synchronized to avoid collisions. Small ships exchanged supplies and information. The first signs of lasting peace were taking shape. The tall, silver-scaled alien commander returned to the flagship. "We have made agreements," it said. "Fleets will stand down. Territories will be respected. Communication channels remain open. Your presence has changed everything." John nodded. "Good. The galaxy is learning that war is not the only path. Remember, strength is measured not by destruction, but by restraint, patience, and guidance." Envoys left the flagship to return to their fleets. Ships slowly returned to their home systems, under human observation. Communication networks remained open, allowing continued dialogue between former enemies. Even fleets that had fought for centuries now moved in cautious cooperation. In the observation deck, John watched the fleets recede toward their home systems. "We have done what we can," he said quietly. "Now it is their responsibility to maintain peace." Lisa looked at him. "They will remember. Every commander, every fleet, every system has seen what humans are capable of. They will think twice before starting another war," Eric added, "and the galaxy will never be the same. They will tell stories about today, about the ship that stopped the war without firing a shot." John nodded. "Stories are powerful. They will carry our lesson for generations, and one day the galaxy may finally understand that peace is stronger than any weapon." Outside, the last fleets passed out of the human control range. Planets that had been on the verge of destruction were now safe. Debris fields remained, but life could begin again. The humans had not destroyed anything unnecessarily. They had only shown the consequences of continued fighting. Admiral Tarek of the Vorn watched from his command station one last time. He had survived the war, but only because humans had intervened. His fleets were intact, but he would never forget the authority of the humans' restraint. "They are not conquerors," he said quietly. "They are something else. Something we do not fully understand." In the flagship, John, Lisa, and Eric prepared to depart. The crew moved quietly, efficiently, systems powered down for travel. The ship hummed softly, ready to leave the war zone. They had no celebration. Their work was not about glory. It was about changing the galaxy without unnecessary destruction. John spoke to the crew. "We leave now. The war is over. Fleets are free to rebuild. Our presence will remain in memory. We showed that restraint and patience can stop even the longest conflicts. Remember that we do not conquer. We guide. We teach. That is our strength." Lisa added, "And every life saved today is proof of what humans can do when we act with wisdom." Eric nodded. "And every fleet we helped now has a chance to survive. That is enough." The human flagship powered its engines quietly, lifting away from the center of the war zone. Alien commanders watched in awe and fear, unable to stop it. The massive vessel glided through space calmly, carrying the authority of humanity with it. As the ship moved farther from the war zone, communications from fleets confirmed peace agreements. Former enemies reported no incidents. Territories were respected. Survivors began to rebuild. The galaxy, for the first time in centuries, felt a fragile hope. John watched the stars pass by. "Our work here is done," he said. "We do not fight for glory. We do not take credit. We leave only a lesson. Life is more important than war. Restraint is more powerful than destruction. Wisdom is stronger than pride." Lisa added, "And one day they will understand fully. They will tell their children about today, about the humans who stopped a war without killing anyone unnecessarily." Eric smiled faintly. "And our name will carry the lesson, even if we are forgotten personally. That is enough." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly. Fleets returned home. Planets once on the brink of annihilation began reconstruction. Debris would remain for decades, but the living survived. Civilizations that had feared extinction now had a chance. The humans had changed the galaxy without firing a single destructive shot. John, Lisa, and Eric stood quietly on the observation deck. The war zone disappeared behind them, replaced by calm, empty space. No celebration, no cheering, only quiet satisfaction. They had done what no other species could. They had stopped a war, guided fleets, and preserved life. "This is the way of humanity," John said softly. "Not to conquer, not to destroy, but to guide and protect. That is our strength. That is why we endure." Lisa nodded. "And every fleet, every commander, every system we saved will remember today. We showed them a new path." Eric added, "And one day, the galaxy will learn that peace is stronger than war, if someone has the wisdom to show it." The human flagship glided silently into deep space, leaving the war zone behind. The fleet slowly returned to their home systems. Communication lines remained open. Former enemies began to rebuild. Planets began to recover. Life continued. And across the galaxy, stars that had once been witnesses to endless war now shone on survivors who had learned the power of restraint, patience, and wisdom. Humanity had arrived, not to conquer, but to guide. And the galaxy would never forget the moment when silence fell, and humans taught the stars a new way to live. In the quiet of space, Captain John Carter looked at his crew. "We leave now," he said, "but the lesson remains. Strength is not measured by destruction. Power is not measured by weapons. Wisdom and patience are the greatest weapons of all." And with that, the humans sailed onward, leaving a galaxy forever changed, a galaxy that would remember the day when humanity entered the war zone and silence fell across the stars.